Movies can have a lasting impression on you and bring back great memories. Certain images you will always remember. Things that have been with me all my life and keep getting added to with every movie I see.
I will turn this place into the fucking Wild Bunch if I think you are fucking with me.
BT phone home.
This is the end of your rotten life, you motherfucking dope pusher!
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Dad, something's going on. Some men just broke in. Oh my God! They've got Ruth! And now I think they're coming after me.
All right, Meg, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Panic. Pay no attention to detail. Let your mind race. Take short, rapid breaths. Then hide under the bed, but leave 2 of your feet sticking out.
Oh my God, Dad. Are they gonna take me? I'm so scared.
Meg? Meg? I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. But I have a very particular lack of skills. I will never be able to find you. But what I do have is $2 and a Casio wristwatch. You can have one of them.
Drakkar Noir.
These guys are serious. Lois, Meg's dead!
Welcome to My Cellular Heart Podcast, Season 4, Episode 131. There will be spoilers. The show is about stuff. We talk about movies, put two together, blah, blah, blah. I'm still trying to figure out how to say that without being too long with it. Anyway, I'm your host, Phillip Duke, and I'm here with...
the Colonel, Jason Bromley.
I wish I had one of those air horns. Yeah, we're back again for some more stealing daughters and as Alicia says, cashing checks, breaking necks. Yeah. Or is it breaking necks, cashing checks? One of the two. Anyway, do you have anything to say? Any before we get into corrections from last week's show?
I just want you to know that I am fucking proud to be here, brother.
Oh, wow. I could see your nose growing as you speak, but thank you. Thank you very much. Sometimes with me and Jason, here's the thing with me. I tell long-winded stories. I talk a lot. Sometimes I repeat myself. But whenever I'd go to Jason's house, it was like, okay, when's this guy fucking leaving? Like, we're done recording the podcast. Like, get the fuck out. And then I'd be like, oh, you got Betty Page stuff? Yeah, give me some. And he'd be like, next time. Like, just, you got to go now. And his wife was like, I'm going to bed. And I'm like, I'll just follow you in the bedroom and I'll keep talking to you until you fall asleep. And she was like, no.
There's few people in this world that you can share the kindred spirit of love of movies with. Someone that I can go deep dives on. And you can go right there with me, man. And so I appreciate that.
Here's what's true and great about you is on your last, I think it was one of your last shows, you talked about, which, by the way, Popcorn Promise podcast, you talked about If Looks Could Kill. And I was like, dude, only me and Jason know If Looks Could Kill. Like,
right?
I saw that in the theater.
Holy shit.
I think it was 1990, 91. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, I want to be a spy in high school. Like, that's awesome. But like you said, he's 35 years old. He's like, I'm a teenager. And, but I watched the trailer recently and it was like, oh my God, like so horrible, but also makes me want to go like, we should do that. Like, but I don't think you could find it anywhere. I didn't find it anywhere digitally. So you have to like find the physical copy or something.
I will go and find a copy of If Looks Can Kill.
Yeah.
And we will do a fucking Greco double feature.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other feature would be, but
so I see that it's so bad you don't want to do it on your show, but we'll do it on my show.
I'll shit all over your show, but I run a classy show.
Exactly. Yeah, you run the good Richard Grieco Booker, and then I run. Yeah, I'm the whatever. You know, one time before we get to corrections, I told this before, but I don't know if you know it. So we had career day in high school, right? So I go to the police officers that are there and I'm like, hey, what do I have to do to become a detective? Like, that's what I want to do, like forensic and, like homicide detective or undercover cop. That's what I wanted to do at the time. And they're like, you have to be 4 years on the beat before you can even become a detective. So I'm like, or even undercover. And I'm like, oh shit. My thing was always 3 years, 364 days. I'd be like, oh, one more day and I'm gonna be it. And then I get shot in the face.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no. But during that, I go, I cannot believe I asked this. I go, this is what a nerd I am. And was. I go, do you guys have something like 21 Jump Street? Like where I could be like like I could be like undercover as a student at the high school, and they were like, no, we don't. And I'm like, oh,
You're so lucky those dudes didn't fuck with you. Just be like,
I know.
yeah, man. Let's
Sign
let's
right
get
here.
you signed up.
Sign the paper. Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be like me being like, do you have like, hey, military guys, I want to be Rambo. How can I I want to go to, Washington State and I want to fight the cops. Can we do this? No.
I have a similar story though. Actually, I went on a ride along because I wanted to be a cop too, and I was like 19, and I asked the guy, I was like, so when do you have to stop wearing like the uniform and you get to just wear your normal clothes and like wear your badge like around a chain, like Lethal Weapon?
Yeah.
And he was like, never.
Yeah. Yeah, there used to be a show. I don't know if you remember. It was called not Hardcastle McCormick, but it was called but it had the guy from 3 O'Clock High in it, and he was in Kindergarten Cop. Richard, whatever his name is, it had him in it, and he would wear his badge on a chain around his neck. So when he busted people, he was like, "You're busted," and I was like, "Oh man, that's cool. I want to be that guy." So that was the thing. I want to be undercover cop. And my aunt, Chip's mom, had even told me, like, I think you'd be a good undercover cop. And I'm thinking, and then I watched some of those shows and I'm like, no, that's fucking stressful. Like, holy shit. Like, no.
Yeah, it is, man.
And the same thing on my ride along, I remember going, like, you can't play music and still hear your radio. Like, I don't get it. Like, it sucks that you can't play music. But anyway, let's get to some corrections.
You were wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Finger guns. Wrong, 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 and you're winning.
So Good Times was the movie I was talking about with Robert Pattinson in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's directed by the guys that did Uncut Gems, those two brothers.
Okay.
And but also Rover is real good. If you haven't seen that, that's when Joe Merrill talked about where Guy Pearce gets his Land Rover stolen, and so he goes after these guys, and Robert Pattinson plays like a dumb, like he's got mental issues, but he's along with his brothers to commit this crime. So anyway, and then they kind of become friends. But anyway, it's pretty good. And the other one that I was thinking of with Blake Lively was The Rhythm Section. Remember, it had like Jude Law in it, but that was supposed to be a revenge, like, and then it spent this time trying to so that's one I was trying to think of. And Louis Leterrier, or however you say, he's like French. He directed The Incredible Hulk, not Pierre Morel, who I thought directed this movie, Taken. So I was like, oh yeah, he directed Incredible Hulk. And we were like, yeah. And then I'm like, wait a minute. When I'm looking up his stuff, he didn't direct The Incredible Hulk. So I was wrong. As they say, I got the in case everybody's wondering, Psych is what says wrong, 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 wrong. So I don't know if you watch Psych, but it's right up our alley, like with the comedy and everything. All right, you ready to get into the show?
Get into the thick of it. I'm about to be taken.
All right, Taken, 2008. Also, why doesn't it say play a clip? We should play a clip right now.
Play a clip.
I don't know who you are.
Oh my God, they got Amanda.
I don't know what you want. What I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Taken 2008, known in Germany as 96 Hours, which is kind of a better title, but also like why Taken wasn't in there at all. Like what do we call this? Taken, boom, done and done. Drop the pen. So The plot: a retired CIA agent travels across Europe and relies on his old skills to save his estranged daughter, who has been kidnapped while on a trip to Paris. We're going to go to museums and shit, Dad. That's all. We're not chasing you two around the continent. Stars Liam Neeson as Brian Mills, which was almost Jeff Bridges. But then he dropped out, so they got Liam Neeson. Maggie Grace as Kim. Famke Jensen as, I didn't even write her name down, Lenore. And she ended up, after this, she became like Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Office Against Drugs and Crime. So I was like, wow, that's cool. But have you seen her lately? She does not look good. She did not.
Really?
Yeah, she had a lot of surgery done.
Oh, no.
We saw some movie. I forget what it was, but it was one of those direct-to-video movies, and we rented it. And I'm like, and my wife's like, that's her? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, oh, my God. I go, yeah. I know.
She's so gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was.
Like, give me the X-Men, but yeah. Leland Orser is Sam, which we know from Seven, the guy with the fucking...
That dude is always a weirdo. This is the first time I saw him not being a sweaty weirdo.
Yeah, you know him always as like, you're watching Bone Collector. Spoiler alert. Told you it'd be spoilers here. And you're like, oh, that's that guy. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, who's the bad guy that's setting everybody up? It's him. It's fucking his nurse or whatever. Yep. So then when you watch Saving Private Ryan, you're like, oh, he's going to kill Matt Damon. And then you're like, oh, no, he's just a guy that parachuted in. So, yeah. And Xander Berkeley as Stewart. So you know him. I didn't write down what else he was in, but he was the other friend, Sam and Stewart. So I didn't write any of the bad guys down because we don't know them. They did good, but we don't know those guys. Written by Luc Besson and Robert Kamen. So I was
came in my ass.
I was thinking, Robert, you were waiting for that. You wrote that on day one. I was thinking Robert Kamen was the one that wrote Hudson Hawk with Bruce Willis, but that's somebody else. But anyway, I'm sorry. Robert Kamen also wrote The Karate Kid.
What?
Yeah, the original Karate Kid. And so when you look up all the stuff, it's like characters created by Robert Kamen for Cobra Kai and all these other things.
It's amazing the things that he came in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like a little bit there, a little bit there. My children are all around. It's like that. Who was that porn star that was like dropping loads? And I saw one porn, this guy comes in a girl's mouth and he's like, don't drop my babies. Don't swallow my babies. It's like, wow. But anyway, welcome to the show, Jason. Directed by Pierre Morel. He also directed From Paris with Love, The Gunman, and Peppermint. So Paris with Love was John Travolta, The Gunman was Sean Penn, and Peppermint was that girl, Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner, yeah. Did you see Peppermint?
Yeah. I thought it was good, but it was almost like Taken. It was like it didn't need to go to the theaters. It could have just came out direct to video.
And that's what I thought. Gunman with Sean Penn was like it had an awesome trailer. I couldn't wait to see it. And I saw it in the theater and it was just like, this is boring.
It was a little slow. Yeah. Until like the end, then it cranked up. But you're like, come on. Yeah. But I remember, but that's the thing with Taken was this does, and they did say, like Liam Neeson was like, I thought I did like a direct to video movie. And then all of a sudden it became like a big hit.
This became his career defining movie.
Yeah, which is crazy because we talked about it last time where he's got a movie coming out called Blacklight or something. And he had said, like, I'm done with these. I'm too old to do these action movies. And now he's doing these action movies again. So,
well, get this. I just read Liam Neeson. He's going to change again. He's decided he likes comedy now. And he's going to remake the Naked Gun series.
Seriously.
He's going to play the Leslie Nielsen part, which is weird that Liam Neeson is redoing Leslie Nielsen stuff.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of tongue twisting. That's crazy. He could do it, I guess. I'm trying to think of any comedies I've seen him in.
Well, so
other than Rob Roy.
He was that was hilarious. Yeah, he was doing it with Seth MacFarlane, who he did A Million Ways to Die in the West with.
Oh, he was in that?
Yeah, he was the bad guy.
Was he the bad guy? Oh, okay. Yeah. I barely. I remember I wanted that movie to be good, and it was not. I
was
wanted it to
not
be
good.
Ted, and it was not Ted.
But he was very funny in the Lego movie as the cop.
Oh, see, so maybe he'll do good as comedy. Comedy's hard to do, but as we've seen, Robert De Niro went to comedy. He does okay, but still, give me a De Niro like with a bat, Untouchables.
Yeah, you can have that Meet the Fockers bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Can you milk me? Anyway, so now to cast. I was gonna put.
I did it this week.
Oh,
week.
did you? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. But I got Brian Mills. You want to go first? Or you want me?
No, you go first. It's
Okay,
your show.
Brian Mills as George Clooney. We talked about George Clooney last week.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought George Clooney, seeing him just be a badass, like straight up, like serious, like fuck you up. And Lenore, of course, Julia Roberts. You got to bring her from Ocean's 11 to be, but now be angry and be like, find my fucking daughter. And this girl, because do you watch Yellow Jackets? You probably don't have Showtime, but some people have a thing called Torrent, quote unquote. So I didn't know if you watch Yellow Jackets, but it's got like Julia Roberts and all these people. Anyway, the girl who plays the young Julia Roberts is named Sophie Thatcher, and she's in the Book of Boba Fett. So for Kim, I put Sophie Thatcher. She's the girl on the motorcycle that's with like the black guy and the other guy. Like, if you've gotten that far, I know you stopped Boba Fett, but she's the one on a motorcycle, on one of the motorcycles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
And then for Sam, I got Nick Frost. Like, he'd be kind of a cool guy with glasses. Like, hang on, let me help you figure this out.
Nice.
So thought that'd be cool. But what do you got?
All right. So I kind of went in a different direction. I went like, let's make it hardcore. And I cast Iko Uwais, who was the lead in the Raid Redemption.
Yes. Holy fuck. Yeah. Raid. The Raid and Raid 2. Yeah.
And for Lenore, I put Gal Gadot.
Cool.
Because she's gorgeous and she has a awesome accent.
Yeah.
For Kim, I picked Haley Steinfeld because I just want to see her like drugged up and naked.
Yeah. She's awesome. Yeah, that's a good choice. I like your movie so far.
And for Sam, I picked Sam Rockwell.
So you're saying that Gal Gadot is gonna marry you eyes. Like, that's a weird, like, seeing a marriage photo of her pretty tall and, well, maybe they're the same height, but and who for Sam? I'm sorry, it was
Sam Rockwell. He's perfect as that, like,
that's true.
Sam Rockwell with glasses, and then he could play that weird little like helper CIA guy.
Yeah, I love him in Iron Man 2. He's just
so good,
so
and
great.
People forget that he was in that as in a Marvel movie, you know.
And the first time that I ever fully really saw him, I mean, he was in The Green Mile, but when I saw Charlie's Angels and he's dancing, he did that turn where you're thinking he's a good guy and they're making out. Yep. And then all of a sudden he fucking pushes her off the thing or whatever, and he's a bad guy, and you're like, oh shit. And that was filmed in the house where she lands. She rolls down the hill, lands at the house. That's a house where they filmed E.T. That's E.T. house, where she comes knocking on the door, holding like that thing in front of her.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Some audio commentaries are really good, like the Charlie's Angels one, like Way of the Gun one is, and some are not good. So I go to listen to the audio commentary of this movie, and it's all in French. They got one of the writer and one of the director and the cinematographer. So I'm like, okay, they're gonna speak English, and it cuts to it, and he's just like, hey, he's speaking French, and I'm like, what the hell? How would that French sound, Jason? Oh, yes.
This is a good movie. I write this movie for a Liam Neeson.
Exactly. You like the Kim Jong-il and was that the puppet thing?
Totally.
What's that called? Super
Team America.
Team America, yeah. I always want to say something with an S for some reason. How did this movie come into your life? So it was 2008.
I just remember seeing the trailer, man, and it had been a long time since there'd been like a good action flick,
Yeah.
And it was weird too, because Liam Neeson wasn't your typical action star. So at the time, I think that his gravitas actually like added to the movie and gave it a lot of like Creed, like
Yeah.
street cred,
Yeah.
when it came out. So when it came out, like it wasn't like it became silly because it became a meme and a joke
Yeah.
later on, I have
Yeah.
a certain set of skills. But when it first came out, it was badass,
Yeah.
And I'd seen The Professional and I saw that Luc Besson was a producer on it and everything. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. So yeah, I was excited to see this. And I love the shit out of it when I first saw it too. So
I think that was my thing too. I was like, oh, Luc Besson, like he's behind this. Like, all right. And that's when he started going into, Robert Kamen said he wrote all the Transporter movies. He wrote, like, they just became like partners of like, what can we do? And but yeah, I think I saw the trailer and I saw this in theater, and right away I was like, I gotta buy this. And then I bought it and I would watch it. I had it on digital copy. So when I was driving around doing parking or whatever, me and the other guy would have it playing while we're like riding up cars that are parked in the street. And we're just, that's a good part. Yeah, it's a good part. And then I hadn't watched it for a while until watching it this time. And I'm like, it is good. But it's also one of those kind of, like we said, not as fast as Commando, but almost you're waiting for it to like hurry up and take the daughter, like boom, let's go.
Yeah,
but they do
let's
it,
get to the fight.
They do it just right, where, because I was thinking, like, you go to see this movie, it explains their characters, Oh yeah, Stuart wasn't the friend of Sam. Stuart was her husband, Lenore's husband. He's from 24 and stuff like that. But he, he's like, hey, you won't use my plane, whatever, when do you need a flight? An hour ago, and you're like, oh, we're in it, let's go. So yeah, that was it's way cool. But let's get to some listener opinions.
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
Well, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
I hated this movie.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I like it! Opinions vary.
Mike Millard, 2017, wrote Fun Action Flick. Brant Dodson wrote, Taken is an intense piece of filmmaking. This isn't a movie to watch if you want to wind down or relax. On the one hand, the director's ability to invoke such strong emotions in the viewer is a testament to his abilities. On the other hand, there are emotions that I don't care to experience. I would imagine that this movie is a much more tense experience for parents, and it's clear that the film is meant to manipulate parental emotions. All filmmaking is manipulative by nature, but this movie lays it on thicker than most. There's a few too many contrivances, and at times the protagonist so easily escapes dangerous situations that it's borderline ridiculous. I don't know if the film holds up after multiple viewings, but I suspect it probably falls apart. I saw it once when it was new, but I liked it less with this repeat viewing. I'd rather not see it again because of how it makes me feel, but I can't deny the craft behind it. I'll give it 4 hearts, but I don't want to watch it again. I feel like I need a Xanax after seeing this. So now you're a person with anxiety. My wife's got anxiety. I've talked about this. I try to understand it. I can kind of understand it, but like I told her, I go, don't you, like we watched Jaws. I showed her Jaws and she's like, oh. And I'm like, oh, wasn't that fun? No, it gave me anxiety. That means you really loved it. You were so into it. Like that must be great because it made you, no, it gave me anxiety. So then we go to watch, I go, you want to watch Jaws 2 right now? And she's like, no. So I had to wait a little, wait months. And then we go to watch Jaws 2. And she's just like, get the kid off the boat. Like, don't be floating out there. Like, just, and she's having severe anxiety. She's like, it gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
And I talked to, this movie didn't give me those feelings like we talked about last week with Detroit. Did you see Detroit? The, what's her name? The girl that did Near Dark and, she did the Hurt Locker. What's the girl's name? Used to be married to James Cameron. Anyway, she did a movie called Detroit. So in Detroit, it's during the Watts riots. I think it was Watts riots. And all of a sudden, these white cops are persecuting these black people. And that's where I was feeling like I was up against the wall with my hands out, like not wanting anybody to shoot. That was the first movie ever that I felt that pulled me in like that I was like, oh my God, like I've cried at ET. Yeah, that didn't pull me. This one made me feel the emotion of, that. And with Taken, I like it, but I didn't get this like sense of, and then that's the other thing. So we talked about it last week for 80s movies. Like, I'm sorry, my brain's going all over. This is how it is to talk to Philip at the end of the night when he's wide awake and you're ready for bed. Because I'm up all night. In the 80s, we talked about like, was anybody like, is he gonna get his daughter or whatever? But in Taken, it doesn't really matter. You're not focused on, of course, he'll get his daughter. You're just in it for the ride. Same thing with Commando. But then, like we've said, the things like, is he gonna win the BMX race? Oh, I don't know. It's like, yeah, of course he's gonna win and get the Corvette.
Right.
But anyway, what about you? Did you have with kids and everything? Here's the other thing, you and I. Do you feel if your daughter or son were taken that you could go and be that guy, or would you be like, Brian, I need some help? Like,
yeah, I might be able to send Brian after him. No, there is no way. First off, yeah, I do suffer from anxiety, but I usually can remove myself from that. The thing that gets me in movies is I'm also claustrophobic. And so like movies like Snowpiercer made me feel really claustrophobic.
Oh, yeah.
And even The Thing makes me feel claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like you can't get out. That movie Buried with Ryan Reynolds, holy fuck, dude, that messed me up.
Oh, wow.
And also in Kill Bill when she gets buried and she's punching on the thing. Oh fuck. Yeah, that fucks me up. But usually with action movies and stuff, they don't get me excited enough, to get nervous or anything like that, or make my anxiety. My wife, on the other hand, though, she can't watch movies that are upsetting. She just, even no matter how good it is, like she will not watch American History X. Because she just knows the subject matter is too upsetting. She can't separate herself. I can. So that doesn't really bother me. As far as being a father, this movie doesn't do it for me.
He just gave me a Heil Hitler sign, by the way, when he said American History X doesn't bother him. No, I'm kidding.
The girl's such a bitch, and her mom is such an asshole that like I'm like kind of glad.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, fuck her. She's getting what she deserves.
Yeah. Well, and also in a way, you're like, you understand him trying to build that relationship, but you're like, show her the card. Like, even though your guys are there to sign this paper, be like, but look what I got. And that'll make her like, okay. But I can also understand where somebody who knows their shit is going to be like, you need to be careful. Is the cousin going to be there? Okay. And then you find out the cousin isn't there, and you still let her go when you find out it's you two and they're going to like Prague and all these other places.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's my thing. I would love to be that guy that could prevent this.
Yeah.
But my wife's like, you would fucking trip walking out the door to the car to go to the airport.
Yeah.
And you'd fucking bust your,
From step one, I wouldn't be able to find an affordable flight. To be able to like even start to find these people. So like, it's just so far outside of the realm of like what I'm capable of.
And then the guy escapes the taxi, which we'll get to, and now you got to chase him uphill. Like, we're gonna be like, dude, I haven't ran for a while, like I can't come back here, dude. But anyway, let's discuss this thing. Former Green Beret and CIA officer Brian Mills attempts to build a closer relationship with his 17-year-old daughter, Kim, who lives with her mother, his ex-wife, Lenore, and her wealthy stepfather, Stuart. So here's what I wrote for one of my notes. In Special Forces, do they show you how to wrap gifts really well? Like, is that part of the training? I know that that's showing how meticulous he is with things, like how, but yeah. And then while overseeing security at a concert for pop star Shira, Brian saves her from a knife-wielding attacker. Out of gratitude, Shira offers to have Kim assessed as a singer, which she first rebuffed when Brian initially mentioned Kim's ambition. So this part, what I did like, the part with them at the barbecue, like it's not too exposition-y, because they're having a conversation while he's making, and then they ask him the one question. He's like, who takes them rare? Burgers or, steaks are ready. Like, he's just ignoring their conversations. Before Brian can tell her about the offer, Kim asks him for permission to travel to Paris with her best friend, Amanda. He initially refuses, concerned about her safety, but eventually gives in. At the airport, Brian learns that Kim lied. The girls are actually planning to follow U2 during their European tour. Upon arriving at Charles de Gaulle Airport, Kim and Amanda meet Peter, a handsome young stranger who has no luggage, who offers to share a taxi. Kim and Amanda go to Amanda's cousin's apartment, where Kim finds out that the cousins are in Spain. And that's where this girl Amanda's like, I'm going to have sex with him. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, you
So
don't
I'm
even
fucking that
know
dude
him.
for sure.
Yeah. She's like, oh, yeah, I don't care. Like, we're here to have fun. It's like, oh, my God. Like, you're definitely a bad influence.
And I think it's hilarious that they picked U2. What two 17-year-olds in the 2000s were fucking following U2 around?
That's true. That's where two older guys are like, Luc Besson's like, who do people follow?
Who's
How about
the
U2?
coolest band in America?
Yeah.
U2.
Mhm.
All the kids love a U2.
Now he's
Oh,
Italian.
they love it to U2.
That's right. After answering a call from Brian, Kim sees men enter the apartment and abduct Amanda. When she is dragged out from hiding, she yells a description of her abductor, following her father's instructions. Brian, hearing someone breathing on the phone, and tells the listener that he will not pursue the kidnappers if they release his daughter, but warns them that refusing to accept his officer will result in their death. The listener only replies, "Good luck," and terminates the call. Dun dun dun. So
do you have the speech memorized?
No, I don't. Do you? I know it's I will, if you don't, I have a particular set of skills. If you don't give me my daughter back, I will hunt you down, I will find you, and I will kill you. And the guy's like, good luck, because you're like, who's gonna trace this guy that meets people at the airport to this other guy, and then that guy dies. Like, now what's he gonna do? But he's got a friend that works at the embassy or wherever he works. But yeah, it's it's crazy. Where am I at? Sam, an old friend and former colleague of Brian, deduces that's the other thing. You and I wouldn't think like, oh shit, grab your Zoom recorder, grab your fucking. We'd just be like, hang on, I got to remember everything. Okay, yes. I think they said something like, and maybe it was this. I was just watching a Dateline, and this guy was held at gunpoint, and his girlfriend was taken while they were making out in a car. And he was like, they took her, but then he was like, here's what the guy looked like. And then they were like, you said they, and then you said, because he was fucking got hit in the head with a gun. And
right.
So Sam, an old friend, former colleague, deduces that the kidnappers are part of an Albanian, which you've never heard of until now.
No.
I mean, you know of Albania, but nobody's been in a movie being like, those Albanians. Sex trafficking ring, and identifies the listener as mob boss Marco Hoxha. Based on previous history, Kim must be found within 96 hours or she will likely be lost forever. So here's the thing. We don't have kids, but my wife is like, if our kid got kidnapped, she just right away would be like, no, they're dead. Forget it.
Yeah.
No hope. Like, forget it. And so when we watch these murder shows or how to murder, as people say, murder porn, my wife will be like, why is this family crying? Why are they holding out hope? I'm like, honey, like it could happen where like those three girls that were held in the house for 15 years. Like it could be something like that. But anyway.
But that's the thing. What kind of life do they have after they've been drugged and raped repeatedly?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm gonna bring her back to her fucking teddy bears and her rich house life, and she's gonna be fine. There's no amount of therapy that fucking fixes that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So you're saying just leave her there. Be like, here, I dropped you off at the club. Here's some Molly. Goodbye.
That's what's nice about babies. You just make more.
Get your kids on here. I want to talk to them. Based on previous history. Oh, yeah, I said that. Brian flies to Paris, breaks into the apartment, and finds Peter's reflection in a picture. Coincidence? Convenient. On Kim's phone. He finds Peter at the airport, trying to charm a female traveler from Sweden, and tries to capture him. While fleeing, Peter is run over and killed by an oncoming truck. And I remember seeing that for the first time. I was like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
So maybe it was that I didn't see it in theater. I bought it because the trailer and I heard it was so good. So I just bought it right away on Blu-ray and was like, oh my God. Because I
You know,
think
it's
I
funny.
remember. Yeah.
I pulled out my DVD to watch it because I don't think it's streaming anywhere. And it has like the little Blockbuster previously viewed sticker on it. That's how fucking
Yeah.
old this shit is.
Yeah. That's like I asked Brant, I said, do you want to borrow my Blu-ray? Or here's my code for my, my Voodoo password. And he's like, I'll probably watch on Voodoo. He goes, I have it on DVD, but it's easier just to watch it streaming. Like, he's like, I might just get rid of all my Blu-rays and DVDs. I said, sell them over here. So yeah. But yeah, exactly. He finds, I said that, killed. With his only lead dead, Brian turns to an old contact, former French intelligence agent Jean-Claude Pitrel, who now has a desk job. Jean-Claude informs him of the local red light district where the Albanian prostitution ring operates, but warns him not to get involved. Brian searches a makeshift brothel in a construction yard and rescued a drugged young woman who has Kim's denim jacket. So this part's cool because he's checking every room, like he's kind of just doing his surveillance, and that's the other thing, like us being non-military. I used to work at a place called Blue Steel Security for a little bit. And there's a sergeant over there. He was in Afghanistan. And so when we're talking, we're at a QT standing by the gas pump and I'm talking to him. He's listening to everything I'm saying, but he's watching everybody pulling in, everything going on. And I'm just like, that wouldn't somebody robbed. Oh, I don't know what car they were driving. I don't know what but he would have it all, So I'm like, oh shit. It's that situational awareness that you go, I think I have it. I think I'd be like Jason Bourne if I'm sitting there and somebody said they took oh yeah, I got all the license plates memorized. Here's what license plate. No. So he searches that construction yard, saves a drug girl after a gunfight and high-speed chase with the brothel's operator. So I remember also this is where you're like, oh, now we're getting into it. Some gun shooting. That one girl gets killed for no reason. She's just like, what's going on? Gets shot in the chest. Brian takes the woman to a hotel where he improvises her detoxification. And I did like the car, like he had the car, it was almost on that other car, like it was gonna, and it might have went somewhere else, but then they cut to like the cars behind, but you're like, holy shit. The next morning, the woman tells Brian of a house where she and Kim were kept. Posing as Jean-Claude, Brian enters the house. This part is so cool. Under the pretense of renegotiating the police protection rate. When he identifies Marco Hoza by tricking him into saying good luck, the meeting erupts into a fight with results in the deaths of several gangsters except Marco. So I hadn't seen this for a while. So when they go into that room and he's underneath that guy and he's just laying and there's like you look in the room and there's nobody there. Yeah. And so then all of a sudden he raises up and shoots a guy and I'm like, oh shit. Like I was thinking that, but I didn't remember. It was really cool. Which I was watching a body cam on Discovery Plus, another murder type thing. And these cops go into a room, talk about like situational awareness to know everything. They go into this room. It's got clothes all over the ground, like on the bed. They're like, I think he's in here. And they're bouncing on the bed a little bit. The two cops are like, it's kind of springy. And they're like, yeah. Then they start walking on the clothes. And all of a sudden this guy bursts out of the clothes and he's got a knife and he's like, fucking kill me. And they're like, no. And he's like, shoot me. And the other guy pulls his taser out. Taser's not firing. So the other cop, that cop's like, I'm in the corner and I know he's going to close this distance quick because guys with knives are, quick to close distance. And the guy stabs him like in the stomach under his vest and stabs him in his shoulder. And he's just like, oh, and he ends up shooting the guy 5 times. But it's one of those, like the guy was hiding under the fucking clothes. It's like, holy shit. But anyway, but that whole shootout in there was like, he's like, good luck. And then he's like, oh, you're the guy.
Yep.
And after finding several heavily drugged girls and Amanda's body, so yeah, he finds Amanda, which I think I'd be again, my situational awareness, my remembering, I'd be like, who are you? Was that her? I don't know. I found some dead blonde girl. I don't know if it's your friend.
I've seen a lot of dead girls this week. I'm not sure if that's her friend or.
Well, I'd be like, I'm focused on my daughter when she comes in with her friends, and if they're wearing the exact same outfit they were wearing then, maybe I'd know. But I guess with him, he knows he's. But yeah. Finds her body. Brian tortures Marco with electricity. So Marco reveals that virgins like Kim have high value in the black market and are quickly sold before identifying the buyer as crime syndicate leader Patrice St. Clair. Brian leaves Marco to die from continuous electrocution and visits Jean-Claude's apartment that evening. So that part's cool, where he talks about like the grids in some countries where they won't hold sometimes they're out for 3 days. Sometimes you don't know how much power is going to go through, but Paris has really great fucking electricity and that can electrocute you every time. And then just the guy's like, okay, I'm sorry. And then he just leaves it on and just walks out. And the guy's like, oh, fuck. And my wife and I have been not literal like Jesus, but 9 Inch Nails. We're watching, are you watching Reacher at all?
Yeah, love that show.
Yeah. So on Reacher, they hang the people up with these big nails. And I'm like, honey, those are 9 Inch Nails. Those are nails. And that's where they're doing it. Then we're watching like That's My Jam show. It's like a cheesy show that Jimmy Fallon does about music. And so they had Ariana Grande on there, and she's trying to give the thing of 9 Inch Nails, but she can't. She doesn't know anything about it. So she's like, they're like on your fingers. And the guys, and Blake Shelton's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. She could have said Trent Reznor, and he would have said. So I'm like, yeah, 9 Inch Nails. Then when we see Reacher, I'm like, those are 9 Inch Nails. Then we're watching Taken, and I go, those are 9 Inch Nails. Why are we haunted in 3 days by 9 Inch Nails? But anyway, yeah, it's gruesome, and Reacher's really good. Everybody go check out Reacher. So having discovered Jean-Claude's corruption, Brian wounds. So that part's cool where you're thinking he's bluffing, and he just shoots her in the shoulder. And Jean-Claude, he's like, you've been behind a desk too long because you don't remember the weight of a gun that's loaded and a gun that isn't. And then when he leaves, my question is, do you think that Brian is really friends with the wife? Like he's like, apologize to your wife for me, and he leaves. And I'm thinking, did he always feel like she's not really a friend? Like, and this guy, you might need somebody with information. So you're going to become friends with that guy.
I mean, that's just like, that's the situation with any friend's wife. I feel like you're friends with her out of obligation. Yeah. But if it was between like, if a bear was chasing you, you'd kick her in the back of the shin, so that she'd go to the ground and you could run.
Remind me never to take my wife with us camping. And you do the same.
Bear, zombie apocalypse, any situation we'd
just be throwing our wives down and skipping away.
Yeah, you and me would run away. Both our wives.
Exactly.
Mine's going under a train too. Don't feel bad.
Oh, now it's a bear riding a train. He's like,
yeah,
he's like
in a zombie apocalypse.
He's wearing a little cap. Yeah, he's hauling a bunch of zombies. It's that movie.
We just wrote a movie, dude.
Yeah, there we go. It's awesome. Yeah, a bear. Fucking. Are you watching Peacemaker?
Fuck yeah, I love Peacemaker, dude.
I killed a gorilla with a chainsaw, and they're like, "How long are you gonna ride this fucking thing?" He's like, "I'm just saying." So we said, Brian disclosing St. Clair's location before knocking him out. So Brian infiltrates a covert sex slave auction. Sorry. Taking place beneath St. Clair's Manor, where Kim is the subject of the last sale. Just coincidence. It's like she was already sold like 2 days ago. Like she's gone. And he's like, fuck. Brian forces Ali, one of the bidders, to purchase her, but is subsequently caught and knocked out. So I was thinking too, with this bidding, like normal bidding, like when you have the high-end people, they don't show their faces. They're calling like at Barrett Jackson auction. They're just calling and it's like, yeah, we got a bid. And you don't know who it is. Is it fucking, who did I just say? That country singer? Is it Blake Shelton on the phone? Is it fucking Adam Sandler?
I think Blake Shelton is definitely bidding on women. I think we should start that rumor right here.
There you go. Yeah. I think in Taken, I think is based on a true story.
of
But
Blake
they
Shelton.
followed Blake Shelton. Yeah.
That's how he got with Gwen Stefani, because that's the only thing that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. He had to have purchased her for $250,000 or $500,000. But that they're all seeing each other's faces. Like, how would you, you're gonna bid almost against fuck you, I don't like your haircut, or I know you from before when I lost an oil sale to you, like whatever. So anyway, that was just something that I thought of. So like I said, then he's like, come on, let's go out. And they walk out and he gets like knocked out. And you're like, holy shit. Here's what I love. I love that when it surprises you like that. And you're like, oh shit. Like I thought he had the upper hand, but also the things of like him just either opening a door and just shooting somebody, or like it's either before this or later when somebody's looking through the glass and he just shoots a guy right in the face through the glass. And I'm like, oh, I love that. Like it's so, and there's a part where a guy opens the door and he just boom, boom, boom. And like shoots the guy and you're like, holy shit. But yeah, when St. Clair learns who he is, he orders the henchman to kill him. This part I remember watching, I was like, everything else was pretty believable for me, except for them hanging him on this thing. And then he pulls the pipe down. I'm like, those pipes are pretty strong. Like,
and why wouldn't they have just shot him? Like,
yeah.
There's no reason
that's
to keep
the thing.
him alive.
That's the thing where I don't know if I said on Commando. It's like fucking what was his name? Captain Bennett. Bennett could have just fucking slit her throat, just just split it right when he heard before she escaped. Like just kill her just because you're so angry. Like you can't be trusted. So, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. Some of that is like you just want them just kill the guy. Like don't tell your whole speech to James Bond and then try to kill him. Brian breaks loose and kills them all. St. Clair reveals that Kim was taken to a yacht owned by a sheik named Ramen. Ramen, I love ramen, like chicken ramen. Before Brian murders him, and that was like him just shooting the guy like 7 times in the fucking in the elevator. You're like, holy shit. Brian pursues the yacht, eliminates the bodyguards, including Ali. So I also like a good knife fight. And they had that in Reacher, and something that I read, I think it was on Commando, where they had the knife with the finger hole in it. They said those are the best knives to have because you can't get it twisted out of your hand because it's hooked to your finger. Like, and I'm like, oh, wow. But still, then Brian's going to break your finger off and fucking throw it away and stab you with the knife. Before bodyguards, including Ali. So yeah, they have that cool fight in the boat, and he's jumping through the fucking windows on the guy and shit. Before he finds Ramen in his suite where he is holding Kim at knife point. When Ramen attempts to negotiate, Brian kills him with a headshot. And that part was cool too. He's like, maybe if we, and he just got shot right away. Back in the United States, Brian surprises Kim by taking her to visit Shira. The end. And then she becomes a great singer, as we see in part 2. I forget what happened in part 2 or part 3, but I remember, I think it was part 2, where they're trying to escape, and Kim gets in the driver's seat of the taxi, and he's like, okay, do you know how to drive a stick? She's like, no. And he's teaching her as they're escaping. And then she becomes this pro fucking shifter. And I'm like, there's no way. Like you would be stalling that car every time around every corner. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I remember I didn't like that. Do you want to say anything? I went through that pretty quick because all the action happens, 3/4 of the way through it, or a third after the third of the movie. Then you get into all the action.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. Like those scenes are fucking awesome. I loved, like, by the time you've seen so many fight scenes at the end, the fact that he just caps that dude is just fine, because he's like, he wasn't even an important character. And I love anytime somebody's like mid-sentence and they get it.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite.
Well,
and
it's like when we did 48 Hours. Remember the end of 48 Hours?
Oh yeah.
So Eddie Murphy's being held captive. He's going to be shot. And Nick Nolte just shoots through his shoulder to hit him. And he's like, you fucking shot me. It's like, yeah, fucking, that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, totally love that. I thought it was weird though, like they show it like Kim's just a happy teenager again after this whole thing happened. She's been on heroin for a week and she's been raped God knows how many times. Well, probably not, because they wanted to keep her a virgin. That's like the only like
That's how they
part of the
explain it.
story.
That's true. Now it makes sense. Yeah, that was part of, yes, that would be more valuable, but also that works into our story of she wasn't molested a bunch of times.
Right.
He's virginal.
Right.
But yeah, still it'd be like, Dad,
And then
I
the
need some
fact that
smack.
they-
Give me some
Yeah.
smack. Yeah.
Dad, I'm really itchy.
Yeah.
Can I
I'll
get
suck
some
your
of my
cock for some smack. Yeah. Like, whoa.
Yeah, and then just Taken 2 and 3, Jesus Christ, like they should have literally just been like, you're about to be taken again.
Well, exactly. Well, and I think one of the things was one was a wife, and then I think she dies. I think that was the third one. But I think, isn't there a part that they talk about? It's not a meme, but it's like editing wise, like part 3, him climbing over the fence was
Yeah.
like done in this dramatic way, but it's like, really, you're watching a 60-year-old guy climb a fence?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my God.
It would have been so much better done had he like got back into it, or like him and his crew decided that they were going to take down sex trafficking, instead of it kept happening to him and his daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like everybody else. Well, it's almost like I want revenge on that guy. Like, really? Like,
yeah.
But yeah.
Worked in Die Hard, didn't work here.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, what was that? Hans Gruber's brother or cousin?
Yeah, and the third one, yeah.
Yeah. But that was a good movie. I love totally off topic of Taken, but another killing in an elevator. Him in the elevator.
Oh, that's
and
so good.
He sees the guy's badge as his buddy, and it's not his buddy. And he's like, yeah, sometimes I bet my badge number. And what about you guys? Play that in the lottery? And then he fucking pulls his gun out and he puts his hand up and he fucking shoots that guy. And you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Which he also did in Pulp Fiction. Had his hand out. He's getting ready to shoot fucking Marcellus in the face. Didn't want to get blood on him. Reviews. Rotten Tomatoes cites critical consensus reads, Taken is undeniably fun with slick action, but is largely a brainless exercise. So again, like you and like Brant, I own this movie and I have it digitally because I bought it on Blu-ray, but I don't watch it. Like, this time was the first time that I watched it. Yeah. Since 2008 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh. Peter Travers from Rolling Stone wrote, it's fun for about 15 minutes seeing Neeson do James Bond as Daddy Dangerous, but the surprise wears off quickly. So I don't think so. And I think that they paced that out pretty good. Like a bunch of action, him investigating, bunch of action, him investigating. Anthony Lane in The New Yorker concurred, Neeson's performance is the most perturbing thing in the film, even more so than its electrical torture sequence or its revelations about sex trafficking. So that's what's funny too, is like, oh, look, we're going to try to stop this. Rex Reed in The Observer offered the most scathing critique, though. Taken is the kind of exploitive junk everyone expects from no-talent French hack Luc Besson. And to that, I want to say, have you seen La Femme Nikita? Have you seen The Professional?
Seriously.
Have you seen, even I like the Joan of Arc movie, The Messenger. In 2019, an attempt to promote tourism and counter the negative perception of Albanians in the Western media, the Albanian government, together with foreign donors, produced a tourism advertisement entitled Be Taken by Albania, where Liam Neeson is asked to visit Albania and explore the country's cultural, culinary, and tourism hotspots.
Jesus.
So, yeah. So, and this is where we were saying about somebody saying that this is their real life. So this guy named William Hiller spent years working in the military and private sector, training agents in counterterrorism and other forms of international crime prevention. From 98 to 2010, he earned around $171,415, thanks to his very specific set of skills. As a former Green Beret colonel and lecturer in security issues to the FBI. He even claimed to have been the inspiration for Mills' character in Taken, telling people his daughter was also kidnapped and sold into trafficking, where she eventually died. But it was all a lie. An FBI affidavit filed in Maryland U.S. District Court revealed Hiller's only military experience had come during a short stint in the U.S. Coast Guard. He was never awarded a post-secondary degree from the University of Oregon either, while his daughter never existed. Hiller was eventually rumbled by the authorities and, after a court appearance, was sentenced to 500 hours community service in order to repay the $171,000. So I don't know how he got so high up with like training the FBI. Like, you must know something that they're going, wow, this is good stuff. Unless your stuff is like bullshit. Like what you do, like my buddy, when we were arm wrestling, he'd kiss me on the forehead. I'd start laughing, he'd win. Like if that's your thing, like you kiss the terrorist on the forehead and then you shoot him in the face. Oh, that's great. So I give this movie 4 celluloid hearts. What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it 2.
2.
And I know, and it's because
the rewatch wasn't. Go ahead.
It's not. The rewatch isn't there for me. I think at the time it was more exciting, but it's been done to death. Like every little thing in this movie has been done more and better.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about Extraction with Chris Hemsworth a lot while I was watching this, and I was like, the action in that is so much better, and it gets straight to the point so much faster.
Yeah. Well, and even when we talk about knife fights, the best one, Raid Redemption, stabs that guy in the leg and then pulls the knife down to his knee. And you're just like, holy shit, like, ouch.
Yeah.
Same thing with on Nobody, stabs that guy through the arm. And like, you're just
I
like,
just rewatched Nobody, and I was like, even this has cooler action than Taken did, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, like you had said, you had talked about recasting it with George Clooney. I think that would be an infinitely more interesting movie because Liam Neeson is such a dry actor.
Yeah.
And his performance is so dry and so just one dimensional.
Yeah.
It needed somebody that could have brought multiple dimensions, even like a Mel Gibson or something, somebody who had.
And even playing the part when he's asking the hooker how much, it seems more interrogative than it does like a guy like George Clooney would be like, hey, what do you, he'd mess his clothes up or something and be like, hey, what do you want? You want to fuck me? Or whatever. But yeah, it's weird. Speaking of weird movies, I'm watching right now. I'm in the middle of Best Defense, the movie with Eddie Murphy and Dudley Moore. So
I don't know what that is.
It's from 1984, but this movie was the first movie Eddie Murphy was in. But what it was that I just learned was they filmed this movie with Dudley Moore that was supposed to be kind of like making fun of the government, like paying all this money for this thing for the tank. But then they were like, for test audiences, it sucked. So they were like, what can we do? Let's pay Eddie Murphy $1 million to come in. We'll shoot his scenes and say that this happened in 84 and Dudley Moore happened in 82 and it'll all work out together. And they put it, and it still sucked. It was the guy's second to last movie that he directed because after this he directed Howard the Duck and it failed.
Oh,
so
shit.
He's like, I'm done directing. But yeah, it was just, I'm like, oh my God, like really, that's what, like, that would be like you being like, my Green Lantern's good. But now let me have somebody else be in it. Let me have a side story with like Superman.
Yeah.
And it'll cut back to, it's like, oh my gosh. But yeah. So Phil's film favorite of the week it's right up Jason's alley and Chip's alley. It's another old movie. It's called Trapped from 1949. Lloyd Bridges. We talked about Jeff Bridges, his dad. The plot, Secret Service agents make a deal with a counterfeiting inmate to be released on early parole if he will help them recover some bogus money-making plates, but he plans to double-cross them. So what was cool about this, because you'll never see it, some people might, it was on, where did I find that? On YouTube, I think.
It's got the same plot as Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley, so that's exciting.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe I need to see it. Maybe that's where they got the idea from. So they asked this guy, do you want to roll over on your friends? He's like, no. They're like, we'll cut your thing down from 10 years to like 7 or whatever. He's like, or 4. And he's like, nope. And then next thing you see is he's being transported on a bus and he takes the guy's gun and stops the bus and gets out and a car picks him up and they drive away. And you're like, holy shit. Then you find out that cop's like, yeah, everything worked as planned. So they worked with him to like escape that whole thing. But then what they didn't work out was this guy was planning on taking the money and the plates and do all this stuff. And so it was really cool in that way. I gave it 4 or 4.5 hearts because it was it was done in that way where it made me guess, like, oh, what's going to happen? And then this other guy that I thought was maybe kind of a bad guy, he ended up being a Secret Service guy as well. And you're like, oh, shit. So it was really cool. But anyway, you have anything to say before we get to what's coming next week with me and Chip?
Oh, tell me what's coming next week with you and Chip.
All right. Chip and I will be back on February 18th for...
And we start with a movie universally considered one of the best heist films of all time. It's from director John Huston in 1950, The Asphalt Jungle, which earned 4 Academy Award nominations. If you're a fan of Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs or Michael Mann's Heat, you'll love this film. You'll likely love it no matter what. It tells the story of a meticulously planned jewel robbery, and it's told, and this is a rarity for the time, exclusively from the point of view of the thieves. As the story begins, we meet the mastermind as he assembles his team, the muscle, the safecracker, the getaway car driver. And then we're in on the heist with the criminals through the robbery and its unexpected aftermath. It is a compelling story, and much of the credit goes to director and co-writer John Huston. Huston based the script on a novel by W.R. Burnett, considered among America's most influential crime writers. Burnett also wrote Little Caesar and High Sierra, books that became memorable crime thrillers on the big screen. From MGM in 1950 and starring Sterling Hayden, Louis Calhern, Sam Jaffe, and Gene Hagen. Here's The Asphalt Jungle.
That's right, from 1950, another old movie for Jason. It's The Asphalt Jungle. It's available on HBO Max. Everybody check it out. It was nominated for Oscars. I'm not sure if it won any yet. I haven't done my research. John Huston directs. So it's really good. We're putting that with Thief, Michael Mann's Thief from 1980 with James Caan. So yeah, so that'll be good. So you got anything to promote, to say about your show, about whatever, what's coming up? You got anything?
I do have a podcast.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's called the Popcorn Promises Podcast. I think the next episode, we do an episode every week. We try to anyway. It's been getting a little spotty lately. But I think the next one coming out will be Escape from LA with me and Joe Merle.
Ooh, Escape
so
from
that's
LA.
that's going to be a fun
right
one.
To the sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even
Now
fuck around with New York, dude. We went
yeah.
straight to LA.
Now I got to watch. I only saw that one once, and I remember going like, oh, there's like them surfing in the canal. But
it's fucking garbage, dude.
Fun.
But
Yeah.
it's so fun. Yeah. If
Yeah.
you just if you know it's garbage and you just watch it for fun, it's really fun, dude. Bruce Campbell in that as the doctor.
He's in it? Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's the doctor who does the plastic surgery.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
He's so
I'll
good
have
in
to-
it. So
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, it's I love Carpenter, like all of his stuff, you know. Some you hope would be better than most, but I
Right.
watched what was that? Prince of Darkness? What was that? Is that him? Yeah.
yeah, Prince of
I
Darkness.
watched that one semi recently. I really like that. Like the zombie guys, like Alice Cooper, like everybody's creepy. But yeah, I really love Assault on Precinct 13. Like that was so good. And like him
So
just
good.
doing that like on the cheap. That little girl gets shot in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, like,
Yeah.
come on, push the limits.
Well, and over on my show, I just interviewed Rebecca Cook, who worked with John Carpenter on The Ward. And she just said he was just the coolest fucking guy to like sit down and talk to. He would talk about all his old movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So I love hearing stories like that. And you talked about commentaries earlier.
Yeah.
Any commentary with him and Kurt Russell is fucking
Oh, yeah.
gold, because
Yeah.
those two guys are funny
Yeah.
as fuck together.
Yeah, The Thing and the Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, is just so good. But yeah, that interview with her, I was even thinking of it today of like, I got to watch The Ward because I haven't seen it, but I want to. So I'm like, oh, I should check it out. But yeah, there's some great stuff. But anyway, yeah, everybody, where can I find Escape from LA? Do I have to torrent it? Is it streaming anywhere?
Yeah, I had it on DVD, so I don't think it is available anywhere. You can always rent it for $3.99 on Amazon Prime.
That's right. That's right. You know, I have a video store up here down on 43rd and Dunlap.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
an old Superstar video. And so they have DVDs and Blu-rays, but they have Mondays, $1 day. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, good over there on a Monday.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't have hard to find stuff. I remember I was like, you guys got Dragnet with Tom Hanks? And the guy was like, no, hang on. He's like, I just ordered it. $6 on Amazon. It's coming in. I'm like, sweet. So I didn't have to rent it. It just went down. You got that yet? Yeah. How about Halloween 8? Yeah. Or Friday 13th 8. Yeah, we got it. Just coming in. Okay. Or no, it was Jason Goes to Hell. Anyway. All right, everybody. Certain movies stick with you. They stay in your head and heart forever. So from all of us at My Cellular Head, keep watching movies. Listen to Jason's podcast called Popcorn Promises if you want to laugh. Mine's more like I try to be funny. Sometimes Chip, like last time, was real nasty. But yeah. So yeah, everybody, check it out. All right. Thank you, Jason. Is that all? Nothing more?
Just that I love you. And
Oh, I love you too, buddy. Even though you're in Washington, you're right here in my heart.
Yeah, exactly. You have 5 cellular hearts in my heart.
Oh, you had me at hello when we started this. I told my wife the other day, I said, you had me at hello. I said, like, does any of that sweetness work? But anyway. All right. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, everyone.